3, 2, 1. Madam Speaker, ladies and gentlemen, Einstein said that the definition of insanity is doing the same thing again and again, but expecting a different result. The previous speaker was largely assertive and not necessarily exclusive, because if they claim that this is not a problem, then why are we talking about this debate, right? They're off clash from the get-go. They asserted that these societies are self-correcting, but if you take a look at the study of how Japan became in the crisis they're in with the yen as well as the aging population, there are quite a lot of similarity with South Korea, Portugal, and Italy. That is to say, things can get worse, especially if you don't do anything. Before my extension, many responses to the previous speaker. Number one, even if these societies were self-correcting, the case my partner made still stands. To some extent, these elder generations are neglected, and you have a vacuum of economic opportunity that is ripe for people to come in and invest. Number two, they talk about how there are some expectations and pressure for this older generation. My point of information suggested that that may be good, because in many instances, a lot of people solely rely on their pension to be able to live. But, as what I also said in my point of information, we want to change that mindset. We want them not to be solely responsible for the state, so that the state can also take care of younger people to be able to incentivize them to come in. What this looks like is these older people, while they're in their productive years of their life, being able to save, being able to buy property, being able to invest in their own. Because as what my partner already mentioned, the way pension funds work is that when you're employed in the government or employed in the private sector, they take monthly contributions up until the time you leave that job or when you retire. And again, these pension funds aren't going to disappear. We just want to allocate and strategically pivot a huge part of that towards something in the economy that matters more and is more pressing in order to solve this particular concern. Because it's a band-aid solution to say, oh, we have to take care of old people. Because my partner already characterized how generally life is quite good in these societies, which was quite uncontested by the leader of the opposition. That suggests a potential opportunity to use that in order to be able to rebuild and make sure that these younger people have jobs so that they can continue living in these conditions, and that government institutions like healthcare and education don't get overcrowded and can continue to function. The heart of this rebuttal is that the younger people are actually the lifeblood of your productive industry, which we need and is currently the vacuum. Thirdly, they talk about, we have progressive taxation, we have inheritance tax. That's not exclusive, right? Like, we literally can co-opt that on our side, and we think that with our model, when we use pension funds who have a lot of safety nets, a lot of capacity, we can solve that problem quicker. Leader of the opposition calls out a problem or dismisses a problem, but they don't comparatively solve that. You should take note. I hope the next speaker can fix that. What is my extension? My extension is that why does this incentive structure of using pensions to be able to get younger families and couples to come in have a trickle-down economic benefit for these older people? Because we're, of course, willing to take the trade-off, right? We're not saying we can have our cake and eat it too. Just like any economic reform, there might be birth pains, there might be challenges. And yes, in the short term, these younger people will get significantly a less pension. But again, as what my partner already beautifully preempted, the intuition here is, guys, do your parents or grandparents buy willy-nilly stupid shit? No, they're kind of done with that, right? That's like a younger person problem. These people are kind of chill. They want to move to the rural areas. They want to go fishing. They want to spend time with their loved ones. The cost of living for these older people is on average already lower, and the buffer of savings that majority have is enough to be able to live a decent life. This ties back to my characterization earlier about how in a lot of these societies, you have strong state function to be able to make sure that their basic necessities are taken care of. But let's engage. Even if that wasn't the case, and this is taking side opposition at their best, that is exactly why we need the young, productive members to do things like take risks and start businesses. Because even if these young people fail, and I agree with the previous speaker, there must be a reason they're trying to migrate. Maybe they're coming from another country that has failed them. They're coming from a poorer developing nation. These people are hungry to start fresh, hungry to learn, and hungry to be able to provide for their families. That in itself creates that incentive structure for them to become productive working members in society. They're eventually going to pay taxes, they're eventually going to be part of these communities, and slowly yet surely we're going to be able to rebuild that vacuum which was lost that actually led to this older generation to begin with. Before that, I can take a PUI before 6. Anybody? 3, 2, 1. Unfortunately, a lack of engagement. Yeah, go. Before 6. Yeah, it was before 6. Yep.
So OJ is still disengaging by their very own counter proposal that they mentioned. It's to say that it still serves as a smoke screen effect when you re-centralize problems of birthing only on towards money instead of other social problems.
Like, the heart of every social problem, my friend, is largely economic. Like, if you want to run some off-clash thing about gender and stuff, be my guest. But I'd posit things like culture, things like identity, at its core, have some sort of socio-economic opportunity. This debate isn't like the previous motions wherein we can just slap some social issue on it and call it a case. We need to understand that this is uniquely about this particular elderly generation. Even if, on our side, I think largely these societies are progressive and liberal, so I question that whole gender social movement thing being that much of an issue. But assuming it is, and this is being extremely charitable, then on our side, we have younger populations to be able to fight and pay for all of these movements when you actually create them in these societies. For all of these reasons, we are proud to take this debate coming from side opening government. Thank you.